Hi, welcome to another episode of Once Upon a Screen Time. Today I will be reviewing The Vampire Diaries, Season 1, Episode 1. In fairy tale style, of course, so let's not waste any time. Sit back, lie down, relax, and listen to a story. Once upon a time, in the sleepy, picturesque town of Mystic Falls, a place cursed with perpetual fog machines and eerie mood lighting, lived a group of impossibly good-looking high school students. There was only one thing more mysterious than the suspiciously evergreen forest, the brooding vampires that hid among them. Our princess, or perhaps should we say, princess in perpetual distress, is Elena Gilbert, who is the epitome of melancholy beauty. Recently got orphaned in the most tragic way. She writes in her journal like she's starring in a Shakespearean tragedy, which, let's face it, she is. She's beautiful and she's sad. Elena is living with her overly perky Aunt Jenna, who might as well be her fairy godmother, except this one has no magic powers and is terribly underqualified at being a guardian. Elena also has a brother named Jeremy, who is the walking definition of teen drama. The stage is set for a riveting episode of My Life is Worse Than Yours, starring the Gilbert siblings. But before we get too lost in Elena's diary entries, not that that would happen, she is quickly distracted by something far more intriguing than grief, a new boy. Oh, but he's no ordinary boy. He is the embodiment of tall, dark, and mysterious figure ever written. Enter Stefan Salvatore, who emerges from a blur of emo fog to graze our screens with a pout that could melt even the coolest of undead hearts. Because nothing says I'm a vampire among morals like enrolling in high school for the 100th time, right? Elena and Stefan's first meeting is exactly what you'd expect in a small-town fairy tale, laced with melodrama and slow-motion eye contact. As Elena pensively strolls through the hallway, she collides with Stefan, who immediately stares into her soul. Is it love? Is it destiny? Is it the fact that she looks exactly like his ex from 150 years ago? It's a mystery as complex as a vampire's skincare routine. Naturally, Stefan chooses the one subject he literally lived through: history. It's all part of the master plan, blending in by being mysterious and just vague enough to make everyone think he's deep. And it works, of course. Everyone is intrigued by Stefan's smoldering presence, except for Matt, the eternally friend-zoned human ex-boyfriend of Elena, who glares at Stefan like he single-handedly ruined his life. Obviously, no one tells him that he's in a love triangle, not with a fellow student, but with an ancient vampire. Every princess needs a quirky sidekick, and Elena's comes in the form of Bonnie Bennett. She thinks she's psychic, but she's a witch. Because this is Mystic Falls, and everyone must possess some form of supernatural quirk. Bonnie's witchy powers make a grand entrance later on in the show. But no one pays attention to Bonnie's warnings because who really listens to their magical best friend when there is a brooding vampire in town? Then there's the sassy sidekick, Caroline, whose role in this episode is to aggressively throw herself at anything with a pulse. Or in this case, one without. Every fairy tale needs a villain, and who better to play this role than Stefan's brother, Damon Salvatore? With his devilish smirk and swagger, Damon is a whirlwind of chaos and sarcasm. He has no patience for Stefan's tortured vampire act. After all, Damon has embraced the unapologetic vampire lifestyle, and he's here to wreak havoc. His entire existence seems dedicated to tormenting Stefan and making his life miserable, because that's what brothers are for. If Stefan is the brooding hero, Damon is the prince of darkness here to ruin everyone's lives. And honestly, We love him for it. No melodramatic fairy tale would be complete without unexplained phenomena. Enter the fog. Always present, always rolling in mysteriously, the fog is basically a character in itself. And let's not forget the crow that follows the moon around. What does it mean? Is it a metaphor for something deep? Probably not. It's just there to be spooky, and we're supposed to accept it. In Mystic Falls, even the wildlife is dramatic. For all their supernatural problems, the residents of Mystic Falls are deeply committed to pretending that everything is perfectly normal. Elena, despite suspecting that something is off about Stefan, possibly the way he just seems to vanish into thin air, decides that everything's fine. Who needs to ask questions when you're attracted to someone, right? Thus, the masquerade of normalcy continues. Stefan and Elena grow closer, despite the fact that Stefan is secretly battling his desire to drain her of blood. It's complicated. Love always is, especially in a fairy tale where one party is undead. Our heroine, Elena, has a little break from the gothic romance of Mystic Falls High School to attend a party where high school kids are served alcohol. Jeremy is there too. He's trying to numb his pain with substances, which will surely end well in a town full of vampires lurking in every corner, and Elena's best friend Bonnie is off having visions. Clearly, something's brewing. In true fairy tale fashion, Stefan almost reveals his dark, brooding secret to Elena. After all, what's more romantic than the moment when a vampire reveals, "By the way, I'm dead," literally. But the grand confession is delayed. Stefan's inner turmoil is far too complex to be resolved in a single episode. He leaves Elena mystified. Meanwhile, in another part of town, Vicky Donovan, a classic damsel with questionable decision-making skills, is getting herself into trouble. Because what is a supernatural story without a character making poor life choices? She's attacked in the woods by an unseen force. But don't worry, she lives. She survives this. But this being Mystic Falls, surviving an attack only means one thing. You'll be sucked into the supernatural drama soon enough. Some are hiding their vampire status, others their psychic powers, and some are just creepy. You can't trust anyone in this town. But the characters are all far too distracted by their personal dramas to notice. Elena, meanwhile, remains oblivious to all the supernatural chaos swirling around her. Perhaps she's too busy journaling her inner turmoil. We have reached the end of this episode. There will obviously be more. So this is not the end, to be continued. Goodbye.